It's part street festival, part excuse to enjoy that it's 70 degrees in Miami while blizzards blanket other parts of the country. And all celebration of that old-fashioned hold-it-in-your-hand technology, the book. The Miami Book Fair International is said to be the largest literary event of its kind in the nation, an 8-day affair that attracts some 250,000 book lovers and more than 600 authors to the downtown campus of Miami-Dade College. But people weren't exactly flocking downtown 31 years ago when it all began.
There was very little activity, commercial and otherwise.
I've seen you describe it as a scary place at
Very,
that time.
very scary place, and people would not want to come downtown.
Eduardo Padron is the president of Miami-Dade College and a co-founder of the book fair. Today, this urban campus is part of a hugely diverse institution that enrolls more than 160,000 students.
Violence erupted again.
But in the early 1980s, this area was home to crime and drugs. Riots had devastated parts of Miami, and Time magazine asked if the region was America's Paradise Lost.
It's a pleasure to see you again.
Padron, though, saw an opportunity.
I'm an avid reader, but it was not my main motivation, if I'm going to be honest with you. It was to do something to bring people downtown and have a good time and feel at ease in downtown. It was important for the city, it was important for the college.
One requirement, of course, the people who write the books, the authors who give readings and are the stars of the affair.
Thanks a lot for coming.
The first year, that included two young local writers who would go on to literary fame. One of them, Dave Barry.
I had some little humor book, and they set up a card table for me. I didn't go do a big indoor thing. Card table out on the main street there. I think it's 2nd Street. Yeah. And my card table was on one side. Directly across from me was Carl Hyacin with his card. So he sat behind a little pile of his books, and I sat behind a little pile of my books. And every now and then somebody would come by and buy a book.
And this is a book that's being talked about.
Yes. The fair's other godfather was Mitchell Kaplan, then the young owner of a fledgling bookstore called Books and Books. He recalls having to overcome the city's reputation.
When I would ask for an author in the early days, it was often the publisher would often say, well, we have this new non-prescription drug book out. We'll be happy to send that author down. I go, no, you don't understand. I want Richard Ford, or I want Russell Banks. I want somebody who really is going to have some sway down here.
Ford and Banks eventually did come and kept coming. They're both here this year with other leading literary lights such as Joyce Carol Oates and Ann Patchett, and hundreds of other writers in all genres and styles, with a major emphasis on writing in Spanish. Today, the fair is supported by numerous local and national foundations and corporations. As the fair has grown, so has the city and its cultural life. Ann says Michael Spring, head of the Miami-Dade Office of Cultural Affairs, there's a direct connection.
The book fair sort of instilled in Miami a certain confidence about itself, that we could aspire to things like an international literary event here and not just be credible, but be incredibly successful in doing it.
Of course, all this is happening at a time when the main narrative about books is that, well, they're dying, aren't they?
Books are alive and well. I can absolutely say that.
Mitchell Kaplan will have none of it. He thinks independent bookstores like his, he now has 3, have learned not only to survive, but in some cases to thrive, even in the world of ebooks.
Most people who are readers read in a lot of different formats, and the preferred format seems to be the physical book.
The actual book.
The actual book.
Lives. Like, if you were to look in the brains of men, like men in this audience right now, a lot of them are just going,
That doesn't mean all is rosy in the book world, and even successful authors like Dave Barry have to find new ways to gin up sales. At this year's book fair, he bantered and joked on stage with author Sandra Singh Low before an appreciative audience.
Honestly, and it feels like you spend more time in the end talking about your book than actually writing your book. I don't think that's the way Marcel Proust did it, but I think that's the way I do it. Yeah.
Proust, Barry pointed out to me, didn't make it to this year's fair, but thousands of others did.